What is up, Los Angeles, and welcome back to your Rams LAFB show. It is Friday, so I am joined by Erin Coscarelli live from Rams HQ. How we doing, Erin? And what's going on over there in the building?
Hi. How's it going? Good. It's a busy day, obviously. I'm a little delayed, which is par for the course. When I'm here inside my Rams phone booth. Your typical Friday. Rams gearing up for a game at home finally after being on the road the last 2 weeks. Looking for another W against a team that they are taking very seriously. And even though Detroit is not the Detroit that maybe they played last season, week 1, when they lost, they are taking this team very seriously, of course, and hoping to, punch another W and stay atop the NFC 1 seed leaderboard. But a lot of not really like crazy anything breaking newsworthy happened at practice today. But we touched on various subjects from wide receivers to retired quarterbacks.
Well, you mentioned something. You said that it's kind of a typical average day out there on a Friday. Just kind of take us through real quickly, just kind of what your day looks like. Obviously there's a lot of standing around waiting, chatting with the other beat writers. But what does it kind of look like? Give the people kind of a glimpse behind the curtain.
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of times people are curious what it's like to be here, Rams HQ. It's in Woodland Hills. We discussed the street name, I believe, Wednesday. Owen's
Mhm.
Mouth. Or no, was it last Friday? I can't remember. It's all a blur. Doesn't matter. Anyways, a random street here in Woodland Hills. And every Wednesday, Friday, Coach McVay speaks to the media. We get an opportunity to ask him questions about the week or, in any injury news. He always shows up to the podium. He's the first to sort of list off any, injury news. And then we get maybe 5 to 8 minutes max with him. And he's always great. He's always very thorough with any kind of questions that we ask. And sometimes he'll throw in a joke or two. Um,
He's
and
he's
then
kind of
you
a dad joke master. He loves that, hotel, what is it? The Holiday Inn Express joke. He throws that in there, even though that commercial's 20 years old now. Anyway, continue.
I appreciate it though. I appreciate it. I mean, it's he takes his job very seriously, and sometimes we the media will be very serious, as we should be. It's purposeful, and people want to know how the team is doing, and we come to work with, usually I come with some type of angle. Um but he'll throw in a fun, curveball joke once in a while, and I appreciate that because it's nice to break up the monotony of uh seriousness with this, right? Because the Rams very much are taking every team, every game, every situation, whether there's a player that has an injury or the game did not go as planned, aka Carolina, aka 49ers week 4 or 5, whatever that was, Eagles game. So, it's been really fun because he'll always sort of talk about not just the X's and O's, but the Jimmy and Joes. He'll talk about what's a little bit underneath the layer of the actual storyline and get to a bit more of a vulnerable place, which I think is why players love him so much. And then after, they'll have practice. The media can go out there for a little bit. We can kind of get a sense of how does Davante look, right? Davante was listed limited on the injury report. We'll talk about that in a bit. But then we'll get to see him on the practice field and kind of as a media member make an assessment on what he looks like. And then we can only be out there for a little bit. We got to go back into our media room because then plays and certain private things go down, and then we get open locker room. And that, usually, and Rams PR is so great at letting us have access to various players, so we can kind of formulate a bit more of an even more detailed story if we're writing or we're doing an on-camera hit. And then that's a wrap. And then usually I either meet with you or I film my own show or I'm always usually the last one to leave, but I'm not the first one to get here. I will say that I'm not the first one here.
And I know that is Gary Klein of the Los Angeles Times. He's always the first one in there. I don't know what time he gets there, but he's the guy there. But you kind of touched on kind of the biggest news coming out of today. Davante Adams on the injury report all week long. He is officially listed as questionable and officially limited today. Did not practice on Wednesday or Thursday. So, what's kind of the sense coming out from the podium about Davante's status for the game?
Yeah, I was just looking at his touchdown total right when we jumped on. And of course, he's got 14. He leads the league, which we all knew. He's just been a red zone magnet, red zone assassin for opposing defenses, red zone ninja. And like the Rams will miss him if he is not available. But coach was asked about that designation. Why limited? Why not a full participant? And coach did say he would be very surprised if he wasn't available for game day. And I guess that's why maybe they gave him the questionable designation. But according to him and the Rams, he will be a full participant. And when we saw him, I took a little bit, I took some video. He looked great. So, I think that that's just kind of like being an abundance of caution, making sure that if anything comes up, they're going to take very good care of their wide receiver, number 17, and make sure all things are in place should anything happen. And of course, I'm sure we'll talk about Tutu in a moment, but he was recently activated, which is a good problem to have. At least you have some depth.
Yeah, yeah. So on the Tutu idea there, the Tutu train, as we like to call it, over here at LAFB, not active for the last 2 weeks. Heading into this Lions game, all of the sudden activated, moving Nick Hampton, former draft pick from later rounds, to the well, he was initially released and then re-signed to the practice squad, but he won't be on there. Interesting move given their depth at the position. Really, just 3 guys. But reading what Coach was saying is Desjuan Johnson moving into like an outside linebacker, edge rusher type of role. Interesting kind of ongoing narrative there. That's what happened to Michael Hoyt a couple of years ago. Moved from inside to outside, revolutionized his body. So maybe something we can pay attention to going forward. But you actually had a chance to sit down with Tutu Atwell and talk with him a little bit. What does he have to say? I mean, obviously, Coach says all the right things about how he handled everything. He constantly talks about how smart he is as a player, former quarterback. Loves those kind of guys in the building, obviously, and probably one of the reasons he got that contract. Just a cerebral guy in the room. Obviously, Cooper Kupp was super smart, whatnot. But anyway.
Yeah,
What
he
did
did.
have to say?
Yeah, that good pickup on that. I noticed that too, that coach said that during the presser. He talked about his awareness. He's just got an awareness about himself. And I imagine when you had the opportunity to activate him and then they didn't, and you're getting paid some big bucks. I asked about that to Tutu. I got a chance to kind of pull him to the side when we had that open locker room time with some of the guys. And I just kind of, I'm always curious, how do these guys handle when things don't go their way? It's part of the game of life. It's part of the game of sports. And I imagine the professional athlete has to be just as physically strong as they are mentally strong. And he said to me, I just said basically, how are you handling it? How has it been? And he said, you're down when you're not playing the game you love. But he said he's feeling healthy. Dealing with the hamstring injury, he's feeling healthy. He said he's been having fun. And he glossed over, of course, as one would potentially, how that situation could be perceived. And of course, coach will always do a very good job of protecting his players and making sure his player, and just kind of essentially saying it was a roster situation. But here we are. I think, he is fully healthy. He's feeling better is what he told me, even though he was missing some time wanting to play. They're not going to put him in early if he's not ready to play. And I think this is a great opportunity. We don't know what's going to actually happen on Sunday. All signs point to Davante is going to play. But in the off chance he's not, you've got a guy like Tutu, who, as you mentioned, Coach McVay speaks very highly of, and maybe might get some more targets should they decrease some of Davante's usage. But, it is an amazing wide receiver room. You've got Jordan Whittington, Xavier, you've got Mumfield, and I had asked Tutu, I'm like, what is the thing that you've learned the most from Davante? You get to be in film study. How is he methodical? Is he vocal? He said Davante is so generous with his input. Obviously somebody to look up to. But the thing he's learned the most is just the way he plays the game, how he gets open. And then also off the field, he said that wide receiver room is I'm paraphrasing using the word cohesive, but it's the thing that coach keeps saying week in and week out, not just about the wide receiver group, but also about the tight end group. Everybody wants to see everyone on this team win. And that was what Tutu said. We want to help each other out. That's what he was saying. Davante has taught him, and he has seen from Davante that he will give input to help others improve their game.
Yeah, it's really, I think, one of the things that sets this team apart on kind of on a corporate level, on a high level idea. You think about coaches trying to get 52 players plus practice squad plus coaching staff all pointed in the same direction. And not Chris Shula, Mike LaFleur talked about the running game, getting all 11 guys. That's the only way a running game can be successful. And so, you think about Puka as a blocker. I brought up Kanata Mumfield on the last show, talking about his involvement in the 13 personnel, really carving out a role pretty much as a blocker there as well. So you just take that idea of blocking, creating the running game, and expand it and make it like a bigger idea. And it seems like this team really, really has that locked down. And, you glance over to the Detroit Lions injury report, and you notice a few things. Obviously, Brian Branch had an Achilles surgery. He's not going to play. And then Kirby Joseph also named out so far, another safety, and Thomas Harper, who I'm not really familiar with him, but another safety. So I was talking with John Ledyard of the Read Optional and Audible and Analytics podcast, those two different podcasts. But he was saying, how you can really attack this Detroit Lions defense is stretching them horizontally. And so much of what the Rams have done this year is the opposite. And he said vertically. I inverted that. Sorry. So much of what the Rams have been doing is stretching people horizontally. Now they're adding in a player with all that vertical ability for this specific game. So it might be game plan specific when he's in there and when he's out there. And I started talking about the outside linebackers group. I'm kind of going all over the place today a little bit, but Nick Hampton not being on the team, Byron Young, a little bit banged up on the injury report. I'm sure he's going to be fine for the game. But McVay keeps talking about this roster math thing, and it seems like they're adjusting little things here and there to make sure that they have the 48 guys that they want on the field. And it seems like it's going to be game specific going forward.
Yeah.
Interesting year in the NFL for sure. Perhaps one of the most interesting things that has happened just in the last couple of days. Phillip Rivers is on a team. He is 44 years old, coming off the couch, coaching his son's college or high school football team. McVay was asked about it. What did he have to say about Phillip Rivers coming back to the NFL?
I mean, because why not? 44 years young, let's throw on a helmet and, at this point, Are there other options? It is the craziest thing. When I saw that pop up, I was like, this is, like, I'm gonna go about my business. This is like, didn't believe it, and I didn't even give it a second thought. But yeah, the Colts play the Seahawks, which again is important for the Rams and Rams Nation and Rams House to know, because obviously they're trying to keep at pace with the Rams and stay in the contention of either winning the division or trying to get a top spot in the playoff seating. And so Coach gets asked about it, and I appreciate this is why I love Coach, because he's always like just has a spin that's always interesting and funny. But he did say he loves it. He's like, I as a fan of the game, I think it's great, which I mean, it's gonna get people clicking and tuning in, and I think it's good for the NFL as well. That's what Coach said. So yeah, so he's happy to see Rivers is back in the game for the Colts who play the Seahawks Sunday. And shoot, I hope he does a hell of a job this weekend. He was corrected by one of the media and said, heck, because right before that, he said the thing he loves about Philip Rivers is he's the only guy that can talk so much good smack without cussing that he's ever seen in his life, which McVay likes to drop a flare or two, but
I
apparently,
wouldn't say
Rivers is not that way. He's like,
no.
doggone it.
Dadgummit, I think is his catchphrase.
Is that
There
what it
is a
is?
fantastic,
I gotta
fantastic
plug it.
video of him throwing a touchdown, getting knocked down by a defensive player, and really aggravating the defensive player because he yelled in his ear. It really held his own out there on the field. Go find that video. It's
what
delightful.
what does
And
he
there's
say? He says, what is the curse substitute?
Dadgummit.
Dig gummit.
Dadgummit. Man
So
has
he's
I
just
think he
not
has I think the guy has 10 kids. His eldest grandkid is the same age as his youngest child, I think. I might be getting that wrong, but also I've learned a lot about him over the last couple of days. Kind of a bromance between Shane Steichen and he. So I guess it did not come to a surprise as some of the insiders that was the first person he called out there. I don't know. I don't know if McVay is I wouldn't call him like cussing like a sailor. Like I don't think he goes to that. But
No.
the F word is kind of a mainstay in those locker room speeches after the game. So he likes to
Yeah,
let him fly.
I don't ever really he doesn't say it as like in our pressers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
keeps it
but yeah,
PG.
I'm sure he'll drop a flavor or two with the guys. But when he's with us, he's very professional.
What about you? Where are you from? Like sailor to like Catholic school teacher?
Yeah, I think I might have gotten I might be getting worse in my old age. I drop more bombs than I would appreciate for myself to do, especially when I'm around people. I just don't, I'm just I try to err on the less is more. But I would say, I'm on a scale of 1 to sailor. I'm like a mini Popeye.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. It was one of the worries about for me, hosting a podcast is I am kind of a sailor.
Are
A
you really?
little bit. Yeah.
Where are we
Yeah.
at? Where are we at? Like an 8, 9, 7?
Yeah, I would say 8. Verging,
You know,
pushing 8, pushing 8.
that's not bad, honestly, and I think you can. Can't you, like, curse on podcasts? Is that not allowed?
Well, we want it to be allowed for all ages. We don't want to get that explicit thing. You
Oh, right.
can, but and then
Got it.
I'm sure Sleeper Fantasy over here would probably prefer me to keep it PG as well.
You know what?
Have to cut
Honestly,
that out.
if dad wants to listen to it in the car on the way taking, Tommy to soccer practice, he probably doesn't want his podcasters to drop F-bombs, but you know what? Maybe not. I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, that is all we have from Rams HQ before we start letting it fly out here. Um, go check out that preview of the Detroit game. I'll give you a little peek in there. John Ledyard is super high on this team. He picks the Rams to win and cover, and he covers everything offensively and defensively. That he thinks the touchdowns in this game are going to be super in depth coverage. Really great guy as well. Go check out the Read Optional. I'll promote that show happily. Go check that out. Those guys, Oliver Connolly and John Ledyard, do a fantastic job there as well. For us, we will be back on Sunday to react to whatever happens to this game, win, loss, or tie. Until then, friends, we'll see you then.
Ramley, thank you so much for hanging out with us and watching the Rams LAFB show. Quickly before you go, got to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper. It's the #1 sports app right now, and you've got to download it because it's got so many great features that I want to tell you about. Aside from season-long fantasy, which is the best in the business, they've also got live score trackers, in-game updates, plus the live chat where you can actually communicate with other users right on the app. But perhaps the best feature, at least that I like, is the daily fantasy feature or the live pick'em. Just pick 2 to 8 players across any sport, baseball, basketball, hockey, obviously football and our Rams. You're going to choose a player, just choose more or less. Matthew Stafford, more or less passing yards. Kyron Williams, more or less rushing yards, more or less touchdowns. 2 to 8, you can win real money. So when you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code RAMSLAFB, and Sleeper's going to give you a match bonus up to $100. So you deposit $100, they're going to give you $100 free. You're now sitting at $200. You put in $10, they're going to match you $10. You're now sitting at $20. But on top of that, right now, Sleeper is offering all new user signups a $20 free entry, no deposit required. Go sign up. You're automatically invested $20 straight from Sleeper. But you can stack that offer with that match bonus offer to add more money. Just make sure to use that promo code RAMSLAFB. Go check out Sleeper. Download it today. Tell them the guys at the Rams LAFB sent you. And as always, Ramley, thank you so much for making us a part of your day.